LED here, and this is the October recap. So as of 10/26/2025, we're up 44% in the portfolio. Pretty decent month. I'll talk about that later in the reflections. And people ask me all the time, what is the purpose of this video? So I actually asked my free Discord recently, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about recording a video on how I got bagged for 3K and came back, or should I do the recap? And funny enough, everyone was like, let's do the recap. And then a bunch of other people were like, hey, you should do both. So we're going to do both. I'll record the other video another time of how I got rinsed for like 3 bands in one day, which, you know, it happens in trading. So let's get into the point. By the way, if you want to join the free Discord, the link's down below. Come join. I trade live twice a week, and I'm always active. I'm probably the most active free Discord owner you'll ever meet in your life, but I probably shouldn't be. Okay, so what's the purpose? My purpose here is to show you what's working versus what's not working. This is key. As a trader, markets evolve time and time again. If you talk to me in 2022, these recaps would look a lot different than they do now in 2025. I also want to provide a knowledge base for back testing. The feedback on these videos, sure, they don't get a lot of views, they're not super flashy, but you know, I have half a dozen or so traders that are making databases of all my setups, all my entries, things like that, so they can learn from it, which I think is amazing, and which ties into my last goal here, which I'll get into. Is I want to shorten the learning curve for a lot of people. A lot of people are impressed by flashy things and big P&Ls, but me, I just keep it real. I show you exactly how I think through trades, and hopefully that resonates with you and can help you on your journey. I also want to find like-minded traders with similar goals. My goal here is to find a lot of people who like the way I trade. They have very similar personalities to me, and they come and we all gather together and we start hitting setups and changing lives. And I also want to create a new generation of traders. I want to create like a team of people who, you know my teachings and everything like that, and they can go teach people in their communities, their parents, and everything like that. And this ties into my last goal, which is different, is I want to leave a legacy. The purpose of these videos is I want to look back in 10 years and be able to show my family, like, hey, like, remember when I was hitting these setups and doing this? Like, look where I am now. I just think it would be super, super cool to go back and just see how I evolved as a trader. This is really just my trading diary, and you are all along for the ride. So as always, I have posted some P&Ls here, so you'll see, and if you want to see P&Ls, you can. I personally hate posting them, but I think it's important just for transparency purposes. So I'm going to have this set up, and I'm going to have the daily chart and the P&L, so you can come along and you can walk through my mind. Okay. So first thing we have here is RGTI for 263%. And this is a very straightforward setup. So this is a previous day high setup on a breakout daily. So we can see this is a daily flag break. It breaks out, gets above the previous day high, which is right here. All we do is we hit it right off the purple line and we ride it up until it breaks about here for 263%. So this is what we call momentum breakout chart. You don't sell these for 20%. These are big moves. You hold big size and then you let your runners do the rest. So pretty overall, you know, pretty good trade, 263%. You can't really complain. Most people can't get 20%, so that's about 10 times that. Alrighty, so 10-6 Meta. So this was a gap down and flush. It filled the gap the previous day and then came lower. So this is an off the open trade. We smacked it for 50% in about 13 minutes, which you can see a timestamp there. And this is the daily, so it filled this gap, but it actually opened lower than the gap. And there's some tricks behind that, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to get into that. And you can see here on the 3-minute, it just came up, retested the pre-market low, and washed out. Once you see a big candle like this, you normally want to get out and, you know, not really overstay your welcome. So there you go. That's that trade. It's about 12 minutes, making 50%. Every $1,000 you put into it, you made $500. So this is 10-6 on SPY. So this is an inside day setup. We can see nice little trend line here. We break the trend line. What do? We buy a couple calls. They go about 90%. The daily, really nothing special here. It's just at all-time highs, so people are more likely to buy the dips. There you go. Your entry right here, you just wait for the trend line to break. Boop, enter right here, and then you take it. It's inside day setup. Alrighty. Let's get to DraftKings. So DraftKings actually traded live in front of like 300 people, I think we had live. This is a pretty straightforward setup. So this was kind of dying off the Kalshi news because no one's really going to be betting on DraftKings anymore now that Kalshi is legal in all 50 states. You know, I'm not a big news guy. But you can see it's just a daily bear flag. It breaks the lows. We see it breaks the lows. We get the price alert live on stream. And what do? We short it on the flush candle. It pops a little bit. We re-hit it with a lower put strike. and then we just ride the ADMA. Okay, once it gets over the ADMA where it's not breaking the lows, all we do is we sell it. And these went about 41%. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about, but you can take big size on this, hold with confidence. I mean, you can see the screenshot was taken at about 11. So we were sitting in these for an hour and a half. Most of you can't hold trades longer than 15 minutes, let alone an hour and a half, but you have to follow the system. 10-7, QQQ. Again, another pretty straightforward setup. It just breaks the previous day low. So it breaks the previous day low, comes up, double retest the previous day low in the 8 EMA. That is an LE model setup. What do? We buy puts and they go 155%. These are the type of setups I will take 10 out of 10 times and make, 100, 200%. And if we look at the daily here, we actually have a daily doji and we break the lows of this doji, meaning we kind of get that rollover effect. Pretty straightforward setup. Again, all it did is catch up to the daily EMAs. So I would love this to break the daily EMAs and go even lower, but you can't really be upset with 155%. Next, we have NVIDIA 10-9. So this was interesting. This is kind of where we get into the tariff beef, we'll call it. And you can see NVIDIA breaks the pre-market high, comes down perfectly, retest it right here. And what do? We hit it and we ride it up to the previous day high. What's funny is this is the previous day high right here. And look, as soon as I got the previous day high, it gets a knife candle. So I sell into the previous day high. I do not hold through it, okay? Because sometimes you get sell candles like that. And I believe this is actually news, if I'm not mistaken. And here's the daily chart. Very simple. Just a clean flag break to all-time highs. Next up, we got 10-9. More QQQ. This is a inside day setup, but it's a pre-market low break and retest. So it breaks the pre-market low, comes up, retested right here. You just ride puts, draw your trend line, and fade it to the lows. I don't have a daily chart for this because it's nothing special, but these went about 70%. Now, Oklo on Doomsday. So Doomsday was when Trump decided to fire out a random tweet and send the market into the absolute abyss. But however, Oklo, relative strength, just forms a nice little flag here and then breaks to the highs for about 81%. And you can see the daily chart here. It was, while this was actually working, it did look more so like this daily candle was more out. However, the tweet or the post or whatever he does kind of sent it back into the gulag. However, still pretty good. Still a technical setup. Still broke the previous day highs. Still broke the pre-market highs. 81%. You really can't go wrong on a name like that. So on Doomsday, I'll make another video about this, but here's the actual setup. So here is the Doomsday tweet. I do not chase the lows. All I do is I flip to a lower time frame, the Turbo Tango, and I wait for the first pop to ADMA. And these puts went about 275%. And all you do is you hold against the 8 EMA. And you can see the daily chart looks absolutely abysmal. But you might be asking, well, Ellie, how come you have the 661s and the 655s? It's because I did what we call a ladder. Okay, I'm not going to go too much into detail about it, but basically you just buy a lower strike on the next flag. And that is exactly what I did as soon as we started to form a flag here. Because remember, this 3-minute flag is actually a 10-minute flag. And what I do, I re-hit the pops right here, and I bought the 655s while riding the 661s. So that is how you do it. It's very often on big moves like this, I'll have multiple strike prices, and this is how you do it. You just ladder them up because you know that this type of news is going to last a lot longer than you think. Now, we got Wally World. So Wally World has been a really fun trade for us as far as the middle of, the middle of October. So I traded these live as well. Again, show my free Discord. It's free. I literally stream for free and give you sauce. So I don't know what you're doing. So they had a partnership with OpenAI, so ChatGPT, and we saw the news. We waited for it to break the flag. We rode it up to the pre-market high. These went pretty crazy. Pretty fun trade. And here's a daily chart, just a nice clean daily flag breakout. And here we go, one more day 2. So I filled these right off the open. It's the only screenshot I have, so you have to deal with me. I filled these right off the open. 57% or like $1,300. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You just above the previous day high, which is here, and you slap it. Now this thing, it did pull back to ADMA at 10 a.m. and we did trade that as well for the day 2. So you just roll up to a higher strike price, and we just risk whatever money you made here. You just toss that in your risk on this ADMA dip, and you just sell the highs. Again, just a day 2 setup above the previous day highs, still pushing on strong volume. Pretty simple. AMD. So AMD was a high flyer. So you can see double inside day. It breaks that double inside day with a nice EMA curl. 10 out of 10 setup. I'm smacking this thing with some decent size. And sure enough, we did smack it. Decent amount of contracts. These things went absolutely ridiculous. This is a pretty huge trade. The entry here, very simple. You get your big move. I'll pull back right to the ADMA. This is where you click the button. So this is where you click buy. And you just ride the ADMA until it eventually starts to fade later in the day and you sell it. It's really that simple. If one thing that you're struggling with is you're not holding long enough, it's honestly either you have too much size or you don't fully trust the system. And the only way to fix that is you just got to hold, whether you start with one contract and then you get comfortable after a month, then you go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like you're not going to have that sort of explosive growth until you learn how to hold. A lot of times people will sell their contracts at the high of day, or if they have a small account. Look, if you have a small account, you need to learn how to hold. That is the only way it'll become a big account. That is how we've all done it. I went through a small account phase. I'll post a video as well. I did a small account somewhat recently. Didn't tell anyone about it. I took 5K to 11K in a month. Okay, there was no lucky lotto gambling, none of that. It was real trading using the exact same size. And the methods, again, I teach for free. So I'll post that at some point. We'll see. But yeah, AMD, pretty clean trade. Pretty decent size. A little 5K lot on there. Can't complain. Okay, so Amazon. This was also traded live. This was on 1021. I only have a screenshot for 25%, but you can see the daily curl. So actually the 200 EMA comes in here. They fake it below, and then they kind of gap it a little bit. And this was when Amazon, all the AWS stuff was happening, and everyone realized that Amazon doesn't just sell clothes to your mom. They also run the entire internet. So it just kept running on kind of like a mini short squeeze off the news. So yeah, we played that. Pretty straightforward. We played the first pop off the open. It was like a 2-minute trade, which is the screenshot's actually from. You can see 2 minutes off the open. Again, it's all timestamped down here at the P&L, so you can see when I took these screenshots. You can go back and test that, and you can see that I was actually in these trades. So yeah, Amazon, right off the open, we got a pop, and then we got a little bit of a 3-minute flag. But there was some sort of resistance that I didn't want to front run, so we waited for that resistance to get broken, came back down, retested it, and we re-smacked it again. So there was the entry off the open, the entry when the EMA broke, and then when we actually flagged on a 10-minute, we hit it again. So it offered 3. Remember, breakout stocks, there's not just one entry. Anyone who tells you there is one entry, I don't even know how they could tell you that. But yeah, there's always multiple entries. It's just a matter of finding what your best risk reward is, and if you're comfortable with entering either early or later. Most traders, they get absolutely smoked McGee off the open, and I tell them to switch to a higher time frame. They don't listen. They never come back. However, those that do kind of change and don't smack the open right away with their small account, they stick around for a while and they learn a lot and they learn patience. Remember, the open is super fast. These midday flags are super slow. You're not going to make as much, but you're also not going to be stressed out your mind. So you got to pick what works for you. So let's say open equals stress. Okay? Open equals stress. After 10 a.m., less stress. So you, again, pick what works for you and what you think is best. If you're noticing you're not really doing well at the open, then stop trading it. I don't know what else to tell you. Alrighty, and then IWM. So we hit this for 112%. This is a clean 3-bar play. So there's a previous day low right here, pre-market low break. Comes up, retest the EMAs, uno, dos, and then trace, which is a 3-bar play. We hit that 112%. Really can't complain about it. And again, you just short the pops as it goes to the lows. That is how you do it, especially on a bearish outside day. Remember, okay, this candle looks like this, and then today's candle looks like this. So the trend is down. All you do is short the pops all day and just make free money. Here's the daily. Again, nothing to really write home about. You can argue it's like a little bit of a trend line break, but just playing what the market has given us. And then we have SPY here on 1022, 45%. And we also have these puts over here. So we have the 669s and then 660 puts. Same thing, bearish outside day. So here's your bearish outside day. And all you do is just hit the pops. So we got 45% of the 669s and 71% on the 660s. The 666 puts. And again, here's the daily. Nothing to write home about. Still kind of in that tariff news chop box. And then lastly, 2 more trades. We have QQQ on 1023. All it did is it came up, came down, tapped the ADMA, so that's where you enter, and you got like 42% on these, about like 2K or so. And your goal would have been to hit that previous day high, but it was just a very slow, choppy grind, and Theta will catch up to you. And you can see, here's a daily chart. So it came down, kind of tested the bottom of that zone, and now it's popping back up. And the last trade that we took on Friday that I told the free Discord to take is 1024 on Apple. So these are 225 calls. Very straightforward. It comes down, taps the EMA right here. The market decides to turn up, and you just hit it for about 50%. Nothing crazy here. Pretty straightforward type of setup. And here is the daily chart on Apple. So again, just a simple flag break. So that is all I have as far as trade reviews. There's definitely a couple I'm missing. I got to find where they are. Maybe I'll talk about them like a class or something like that. But yeah, this is my journal. I wanted to show what was working. I think this is a very high stress type of month, and it's just important to document it. So let's get into the reflection. So overall, I'm pretty disappointed with my performance for this month. Sure, I was green, but I could have done so much better and executed a lot better across the board. So I'm quite disappointed with the performance. Green is green, but as a trader, you're always looking to be better than you were the previous month. So this is a little bit of a hit to ego. It's all good. Earnings season's here. We're going to run it back up. I'm really not too worried about it. I just figured I'd let you guys know that I'm disappointed with my performance. So if you had a bad month too, it's not just you. And the reason why I had a lesser performance is I had a lot less screen time this month, just due to some other obligations and things I've been having to do. So I just had a lot less screen time. So I really haven't been as focused and as dialed as I usually am. However, moving forward, I am very focused on the portfolio movers. So I've been posting daily charts and things like that I like, and I really want to focus on those portfolio movers. I'm not really interested in that kind of 1% a day better. No, I'm looking for those 10, 20% days where I can really, let my skills shine, and I just want to wait for those days and be patient. Next, tracking big movers is a must. If you're not tracking stocks that are making huge moves and you're just staring at SPY all day, you're not going to make any money, okay? You have to track big movers, the stocks that are moving and shaking, because that's where the money's being made, okay? Money's not being made and gap up every single day or gap down based off people's tweets overnight. Track the big movers. And the last thought I'll leave you with is patience is a double-edged sword. You cannot win them all. You can be too patient, and you can also be not patient enough. Trading is all about finding that happy middle ground. I like to think of it as like a sliding scale. Okay? Sometimes you're over here where you're super patient, you miss everything. Sometimes you're over here where you're just blowing your cash up. So you constantly want to give yourself checks and balances so you constantly stay neutral in the middle. So that is all for the October recap. I really hope you enjoyed. Take some notes, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.